Innovation Center at Banasthali Vidyapith. I welcome all the participants, all the attendees, and also welcome these eminent guests with us. I think the world is going through an unprecedented phase. It's very tough time for people across the world. I think setting in March, we never thought that in the coming months we would have to come forth from, and it's very different atmosphere altogether. But I feel and hope that all of you are keeping well and safe. And I pray to God for the world to get over this as soon as possible. I'll quickly run you through some background of Banasthali a minute or so. Banasthali is a university for women, a university with difference. And it has a very unique position. Our founder, Pandit Shanti, was also the first Chief Minister of Rajasthan. He came back to this small hamlet called Banasthali in 1930 for village restructuring and to raise village youth for livelihood opportunity. That's how he came to Banasthali. He had a young daughter who was very fond of teaching village kids. Unfortunately, she died at a very young age, at 12, and that's what the founders got this idea to train others' daughters the same way they wanted to train their own daughter. And that's what the genesis of Banasthali. That small idea of training the other daughter is what Banasthali is today. It embarked upon its journey way back in 1935 with several students. You can imagine 1935 women's education. That was Rajasthan. That was still one of the most backward districts of Rajasthan. It was a tough time. The founders went door to door to the students. We have to request parents send their daughters. There's no question of charging fees. And the institution used to sustain on public money. Sustainability of after almost 67 years of existence. You talk about sustainability in 3 4 years these days. That was the sheer great determination and passion of the founders. And in that humble beginning, we have become world's largest residential university for women, imparting education from nursery to PhD level. I think again one of its kind university in India which is working across the spectrum. Nurturing more than 17,000 women at its 1,000-acre campus. It's very lush, very campus, very close to Indian into Garden Valley. And very strong focus on value inculcation, character building, national. So we talk about it's not only education, you have to build characters which people can take. Education is not built for the first job. Education has to be for life.
LinkedIn पे नहीं चल रहा. LinkedIn पे.
Recently, Minister of HRD has rated us as A++, which is a movement of pride for us because it puts us among the top 0.5% universities in India. We also happen to be among the top 400 universities in Asia and among the top 3-4% global universities in the world. Among the women universities across the world, we are ranked second best women's university. This is the incubation center, and I thank Mr. Ramanan, who is with us as our eminent guest. NITI Aayog, Innovation Mission team, creating this structure of innovation in India. We were the first recipients from the first batch of DIC 2017. We started operations, and the idea is to create a world-class ecosystem for women startups in India. I think we are the only, as of now, by far, the only of its kind business incubator in India which is solely focusing on women startups in a university setup. The purpose and objective is to create a conducive environment for women startups to grow, providing them with a lot of confidence and vision to scale their venture. That's the whole idea of the incubation sector. And some programs, what we offer, so we start incubation program for idea state startups. We do for students, scholars, faculties. Entrepreneurship is a flagship program, which is the incubation program, and we have done 3 cohorts for this. We also do acceleration programs for this. Also, we have done 2 cohorts. The third cohort is onboarded just last month. The wishful thinking is on the we in this program which we are launching next month with a women-based, women-oriented fund hub. So that's what we are doing next month. And also coming up with a corporate innovation program with a prominent industry in India. So that's the length of program we do. So it's like end to end. So we start with our pre-innovation program to investment ready startup. Again, the purpose is to nurture the part of science and technology because we realized that there's a lot of dearth of good women innovation in these areas of science and tech, and we thought that it's time for us to become leaders in this area in supporting women in science and tech. And the vision is to build a national center for women entrepreneurship. And I suppose Shanti can claim that we are marching towards that. Hopefully, a couple of years down the line, we want to emerge as the most prominent space for women entrepreneurship in India. Coming back to the session, I think as of now, it's the most discussion which is happening around Atmanirbhar Bharat, and can't leave the other 50% population of India. There's a lot of things happening around Atmanirbhar Bharat. On one side, the world is struggling to understand the implications of Corona, COVID. On the other hand, the government of India has come out with a fantastic initiative of Atmanirbhar Bharat, where they want India to become self-relevant and have to are thinking for things to be made in India and to be supplied to the world. And women entrepreneurs are nowhere behind. I think it's time for women also to take part in the economic activity of India. And we see a lot of action happening in the women entrepreneurship space. There are a couple of points. One, that there's a lot of behavioral change that has come up in the last 3-4 months. Suddenly the health wellness sector has changed. Suddenly the whole mindset has changed for people. So that is a lot of bandwidth and a lot of opportunity for women entrepreneurs in India. The other thing also with the advent of technology, I think the traditional challenges that women face of managing the family or maybe other responsibilities. I think with the advent of technology, all those challenges are again diminished. I mean, you can sit at your home and you can serve the whole world without stepping out of your house, and that's what we have learned in the last 3-4 months. I think we should leverage this learning and see what best we can do without too much of to and fro. So I would now like to invite Mr. Ramanan with us. Mr. Ramanan is Mission Director for Atal Inclusive Mission. He is also Additional Secretary for NITI Aayog. And as the Mission Director of AIM, Mr. Ramanan has been instrumental to date in the launch of execution of several nationwide innovation and entrepreneurship initiatives, resulting in 9,000 plus Atal Degree Labs with 5,000 plus operational in 650 plus states. You can imagine the size of this initiative. Giving over 2 million students access to innovative tools and technologies like 3D printers, robotics, miniaturized electronics, and DIY kits, among others. He's also been instrumental in setting up more than 100 Atal Incubation Centers across the country, fostering world-class ecosystem for startups. And also been instrumental in setting up 24 Atal New India challenges to stimulate product innovation along with various ministries in India. The recent initiative is about Mentor India program, which has more than 4,500 registrations all across the country for people who want to mentor the Atal Thinking Labs and Atal Incubation Center. I think if I put a word to Mr. Ramanan, he's a master implementer. You can imagine the size of all these initiatives in a country like India with a lot of diversity across states. Putting initiatives like this needs a lot of determination and a lot of planning. And I think, no doubt, hats off to sir. He has very much achieved all those. I think more than all of these, he's a very kind human being. Has good family man, and he loves photography. So welcome on board, sir. I think we will be happy to hear a lot of insights from you. We also have with us Ms. Shanti Mohan, who is the co-founder and CEO for LetsVenture. Ms. Shanti is, I think, one of the most prominent women leaders in the ecosystem in India. A serial entrepreneur, founder of LetsVenture. Before LetsVenture, she did her first startup building a product company in the embedded system space, where she raised angel and Series A. Sold the company and joined HP, worked in product management roles in India and US. LetsVenture is India's largest curated marketplace for early stage funding. LetsVenture so far has helped 271 companies with funding of more than 1,000 crores on the platform. The platform has 7,000 investors from 55 countries who invest through the marketplace. I think, again, one of its kind and a very early initiative in the Indian startup ecosystem. She is also an active angel investor and loves to work for social causes. Welcome, Shanti ji, for the session. I think people out here must be happy to hear some investment insights from you. We also have with us Ms. Preeti, who is the founder of Beans and More. Preeti is the CEO and founder of Beans and More, which is a health and wellness food company. They create meals that encourages people to eat more green fruits, vegetables, both fat and protein. Their meals help consumers reach optimal levels of vitamins and minerals naturally via food, thereby increasing immunity and bringing significant health benefits. 2.5 years ago, she started meals and more from her home kitchen, preparing and delivering the meals herself. Now, in 2020, the company has more outlets and plans for 100 more outlets over the next 3 years. Earlier, she has worked as risk management consultant for 13 years with banks and financial institutions across India, US, and Europe. During her free time, she loves to travel, try new cuisine, and love gardening. I know Preeti, I think, for more than 3 years now. I met her in 2017 at TES in Hyderabad. And at that time, she was building with this idea of drinks and more, struggling to understand the whole market for such product. And then we invited her to incubate with us. That time,
YouTube में comments
she was
disable
giving us
कर
a
देना.
loan of 10,000. And now the turnover has reached to 3 lakh rupees per month, which is more than 100 times
EIC description में डाल दो for any queries write to us at eic@banasthali.com.
She always has been sustainable.
Description में डाल दो.
And still, we have to run behind that to take investor money. But that's the focus and that's the beauty of the business.
Reply नहीं
So
करें
when
from
we meet in
question
the session, I again be happy to hear. We also have with us Puneet, who is anchor at NITI National. He is also on the technical education. He is a technical education expert. He is an anchor and script writer for NITI National and NITI Rajasthan. He is a media advisor for MHRD in Smart India Hackathon since 2018. He has enacted and directed several short films, advertisement and documentary movies and was the brand ambassador for Bhamasha Yojana of Government of Rajasthan. He has contributed his ideas for planning and execution as a member, branding committee of MNIT in Jaipur. He is also providing service to innovation evaluator of government initiative. Again, in one word, the master storyteller. Whenever I speak to him, I think he takes a discussion to a different level. I enjoy his discussion. And I know Puneet will again create a kind of mahal in the event. He will create a mahal for all of us for the next 1.5 hours. So all your Preeti, I think I once again thank all the eminent speakers for meeting us and also welcome all the guests and the audience for joining us for this. Preeti, all yours, sir. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, for a kickstart for this session, for a wonderful introduction of all panelists, the way they have contributed to society and self. Because once we society, indirectly we are serving self. So, many congratulations to the founders of Banasthali Vidyapith, first of all, for initiating this type of discussion, which is very well needed. And I am sure also nowhere in the world special programs based on women entrepreneurship have been conducted in a particular manner. So now coming to this topic, there is a quote which says a ship in the harbor is safe, but that is not what ships are built for. So life has us for this beautiful life, exploration, to make it larger, to help people which are nearby you, if they want to get connected to help them. So Ramanan ji, first of all, many congratulations to you for creating a great milestone in the last 3-4 years. The way you have initiated, जैसा अभिषेक कहा, माहौल बनाना. You know, माहौल से एक स्पिरिट डेवलप होती है. जब कोई भी काम करना हो, एक मिशन की तरह करना हो, उसके लिए माहौल बनाना सबसे पहला जरूरी है. So आपने जिस तरह से the way you have taken up innovation initiatives at different labs. At school and then university levels, they are phenomenal. I'm sure the coming times you will be able to provide a book in the form of the execution. Everybody is having hundreds of ideas, but most challenge is to how to execute. So that's what where mostly people lack. और जैसा अभिषेक जी ने कहा, great. आपसे जब भी बात होती है, you are always available. That is, many people pretend they are busy, but you are always available. Thank you. So the first thing that comes to mind that innovation and entrepreneurship, they go hand in hand. So if someone is having an innovative idea that is required to be
panelist का question disable नहीं कर सकते.
entrepreneurship starts. So in what way,
पैनलिस्ट के
especially
क्वेश्चन डिसेबल नहीं कर सकते, सारे पैनलिस्ट के
post-COVID-19,
क्वेश्चन
we
आ
see
रहे हैं.
the need of planning of this innovation and entrepreneurship today as well as tomorrow.
Thank you, Puneet ji, and first of all, thank you so much, Abhishek,
इतनी
for the
फालतू कर
generous
रहा है.
introduction, as well as all the distinguished panelists who are there on this call, Shanti as well as Preeti. It is wonderful to and great privilege for me to be along with you all on this particular panel. Also, I hope that all the people who are attending this call are all safe and sound and following the safeguards and practices that need to be followed in this very difficult times of COVID-19 that has been advocated to you either by your government or by the health authorities or by the organization that you are part of. Puneet ji, you mentioned about successful execution. I have to say two things in this regard. I'm surrounded by four ladies at home who drive me to whatever I do in daily life. And I would say that they have perfected me in many ways. And that has been a wonderful learning experience for me throughout. And secondly, in my team, other innovation mission team, I have almost 50% fundamental more of the team as girls, and they are able to execute. So any execution success has been because I have program directors, for instance, we have been tinkering labs as well as other integrators who have been women. And we have a lot of team members. And so the point that I'm trying to make is India is 1.3 billion people. We have, according to the last census, 2011 census, 49% of our people are women and girls. And if we have only 13% women in the country as of today, that is indeed a story that needs to be changed, needs to be transformed. And one of the important things that we have found out as a part of our innovation mission, the flagship initiative of the NITI Aayog, which is the National Institution for Transforming India. The Honorable Prime Minister made a clarion call in 2016 for innovation and entrepreneurship to occupy the forefront in terms of development of our country, not only from an economic point of view but also from a societal point of view. And when we talk of innovation and entrepreneurship, both go hand in hand. If you do not create a culture of innovation, a spirit of innovation, a spirit of problem solving, an innovative mindset in the young students at the schools, in the universities, in the industry, or anyone, forget about the young people, even people like us, if we don't bring in a culture of innovation, the question, the curiosity as to why should something be like this, why not in a different way? How can we improve things? What is it that we can do in order to improve? Then starts your quest for curiosity, for a solution. Your imagination flies high. You start creating new ideas. The ideas get into an implementation mode, and lo and behold, you have an innovation. So innovation has to be a culture within the country, within our universities, within our schools, within the industry. Only then India can progress remarkably. Because we have what they call as a demographic dividend, as the Honorable Prime Minister says, and which is one of the pillars of Atmanirbhar Bharat. And that demographic dividend means we have 65% of our country under 35 years old. We have 1.4 million schools in our country. We have 10,500 engineering and related institutions. We have over 39,000 colleges, and we have more than 150 million young students who are going to be entering into the Now, if you want to take this channel, this energy of youth, which consists of both girls as well as boys, women as well as men, that 50% today, I think if you take the latest census, would probably be 50% plus in terms of the women population. Unless you carry them along and unless you give them the opportunities, give them place in society for them to be able to execute at the same level, if not better, you will not be able to improve as a society. And that the second part which comes in, and that is the entrepreneurship. You can become a very innovative set of people, but unless you provide the ecosystem for entrepreneurs to thrive and to grow, and you're able to support them, people will not go into entrepreneurship. They will go into they will use all the knowledge that they have got and become job seekers. What we want is to create a nation of job creators. And if you want to do that, you have to create an ecosystem of entrepreneurship across the length and breadth of the country so that people whose ideas and innovations and imaginations are there, they get a chance to become an entrepreneur, to create a startup, to create an impact on society, either from an economic point of view or from a societal point of view. And that's the basic purpose of our innovation mission. So what we have done is through a series of initiatives in a very holistic manner. Starting at the school, we have set up thousands of tinkering labs so that these tinkering labs have the latest technologies innovations, look at the problems in and around the community they live in, converge in small groups, create solutions, and acquire a problem-solving innovative mindset. We need to transform the rote learning mindset into what is called. It has served us well so far, no problem. We have created a $180 billion IT industry as a result of our focus on education, rote learning, and so on. But what brought us here is not going to take us to the next level. And we need to ensure that these students now acquire a problem-solving entrepreneurial mindset so that when they go to universities, we are setting up world-class incubators. And we have, as Abhishek mentioned, we have launched about 102, but there are more than 250 incubators today in India. And these incubators enable startups and entrepreneurs to be able to take off on their innovation journey. We give 10 crores of grant to these incubators so that they are able to foster 25 to 30 startups every 2 years. And within a period of 4 years, these 100 incubators, for instance, would have launched 5,000 startups. And now, what has been remarkable is that in the last 2.5 years, out of the 1,500 startups that have come out from the Atmanirbhar Innovation Mission through 70 incubators, more than 500 are women-led startups. And that is a fantastic number. For us, very encouraging. It should be 750, but we are very happy that at least it is 500. And AIC Banasthali was one of the first institutes to be awarded a women-led startup incubator. I mean, it is all women incubator. And as Banasthali is the wonderful history of that particular university, we have now four such incubators which are primarily women-led or fostering women-led startups. And that is what we need to create. And the third initiative that Atal Innovation Mission has launched is what is known as Atal New India Challenges, so that you are able to now foster product innovations which are having socio-economic impact in the areas that we need. And the Honorable Prime Minister very beautifully brought that out in the Atmanirbhar speech that he gave, where he identified the 5 pillars: the pillar of demographic dividend, the pillar of infrastructure, the pillar of technology, the pillar of demand, and the pillar of socio-economic growth. If you want to address this, India being a country of 715 districts, we have 600,000 plus villages. If you want to carry them along, you need to have the benefit of innovation and entrepreneurship reach every nook and corner of our country. We need at least 150 to 200 smart cities in our country, which become the hubs of job innovation and job creation, not only for the men. Has launched, which combines innovation, creating a culture of innovation in schools, universities, and industry, along with an entrepreneurial environment which fosters entrepreneurship and fosters startups, so that the country can
Thank you, Dr. Ramanan. So there is a relevant question from Jammu and Kashmir, so you have to join some conversation from the news. So fine. We'll take up that question. If you have that network of time, can we take up that question? Or?
So come back and take, because I think I have to connect to the other.
Right. Thank you. We'll come back to you. Thank you, Dr. Ramanan. Now, coming to Shanti ji. This is LetsVenture is your second startup. Thomas Edison has said, I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that won't work. So you start, how your startup was, then you joined the show, then you started LetsVenture and also
you still want to build a company in partnership with the people you live with or you interact with. Right? So that is the essence of how one wants to build their lives. But I think entrepreneurship and the women's role, I think, is a lot changed today. Right? I mean, India is a country where we have the first. I mean, women defense minister, women finance minister, we have a woman president, we've had a woman prime minister. I don't think that we need to look for any more role models in our country of what women can achieve if they want to achieve. Right? So really from that perspective, of course, there is a lot more lot more we can do. Like what Ramanan sir was saying, I think only 13% of our women are in the workforce today. And for a country to really progress economically, I think they have to allow women to integrate more into the workforce. In fact, interestingly, there was a tweet I had read about a couple of months back saying that we are talking about Atmanirbhar India, right? And we are saying how do we kind of become better than China? If you look at in China the workforce, right, out of their 1 billion workforce, 50% of their workforce, I mean, women are a large part of their workforce, right? So it is really about leaving one part of your country. If you're going to leave them behind, it is not going to create Atmanirbhar India, right? So I think it is imperative that we bring women on the forefront. We provide her all the support she needs. But I personally have met with a lot of women founders, and I don't think any woman is waiting for that to become an entrepreneur. I think the reasons of why they are not becoming an entrepreneur is very different. I don't think a person who has the will, who has already decided she wants to be an entrepreneur, she's already broken through a lot of those barriers which we think are today prevalent in society. And I have really, like, I have never personally thought that there was a woman trying to build LetsVenture. Like, we never. I mean, if you talk to a working woman, you don't remember. Most of the time, you don't wear your gender on your sleeve when you go to work, right? You go there because you're capable. You go there because you can contribute to the business. You go there because you believe that you can become a valuable team member in that company or that country, right? You also go start a company because you think that your chances of success or your probability of success is very high. I will have Preeti talk more about this, but I am actually very encouraged, and I don't think that women are waiting to be told to kind of start on their own. I think there are a lot more deeper issues, like what you mentioned even earlier is about education, right? More about making the infrastructure and making them reliable on their own so that they can go build something when they have the opportunity to do it.
Well said, Shantiji. I mean, this is all about your self mindset. It is about based on any gender. If you have an idea, if you have courage, if you want to create equity for yourself and people surrounding you, and I'm sure the way Shantiji and Preetiji could make out their way, everybody can make it possible. So there is no as such big hurdles which cannot be crossed. So now coming to Preetiji. So an engineering graduate and then serving in banking sector and then working out of India as well. And then coming back home and then starting your own first venture, that too successful venture. I'm sure you are the first entrepreneur in your family.
Yes, I am.
That's great. So I am a mother, an educated person, and then finally having a business which is on about food. Because by default, I feel working in kitchen, you get better senses about food, ingredients, quality, in what way they are connecting with the system. So, would like to know your interesting journey of entrepreneurship. In what way? I mean, this is entrepreneurship by accident. Mostly, it is by accident. It is not by choice. It happens sometimes an idea is clicked, your own experiences. Over to you.
So basically, I started my career with Bank of India in Mumbai, and then we moved to US and started working. So throughout this 13 years of my work experience, wherever I've worked, I've always followed my husband because whether he's on-site, off-site, I kind of followed him wherever he was going. So never in any of these companies I got a single promotion. Although you're contributing, you're working equally hard, you never get a promotion or achieve your due. Now, what was when we came back from US to India in 2014, that's when I was overweight. I had my 2 pregnancies, I was overweight, and I joined a fitness class and trying to be fit because my productivity was down. When I joined this class, I saw there's so many women who were coming to these fitness classes and they want to lose weight or they're trying to be fit. But weight or trying to be fit is 80% nutrition and 20% exercise. While all of these women significantly working harder towards that 20%, they paying membership gym fee, they were coming to classes on time, they were getting up in the morning to the gym classes, but they had nothing which was contributing 80% of the fitness, which was food. So when I realized they were friends, and I myself was changing my lifestyle, I was eating beans, fruits, and vegetables, and when I saw the change in myself within 6 months, I lost about 20 kgs of weight. I was more productive, more confident. I had self-effect was not there anymore. The breathing trouble was not there. I was playful with people. So when I saw these positive differences in myself, I realized, there's a huge market available right there. There are many people who want to stay fit, but they don't have the accelerator or they don't have a mechanism or a guidance that helps them. So one fine day, about 3:30 in the morning, I woke up and I made the first batch of salad. So we were coming from US, so their US salad is exempted in wholesome meat. It's not the case in India. So when we were coming from there, I learned how to make good salads with microgreens, cranberries, kiwi, and we put legumes and pulses and everything. Whereas in India, the finished salad was full of sprouts and tomatoes. Whereas in US, it's full of legumes and grains and vegetables and fruits and antioxidants. So I made this good wholesome batch at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning. I went to there at 4:30 batch. and I offered the salad. People loved it. They said, if we can get this kind of salad every day, then we would love to have it every day because it was nutritious, it was looking nice, and it was tasty. So I came back again, made another batch of salad for the next batch of fitness enthusiasts, took it to them as well, and they loved it as well. So that was my first testing. So there were about 30 people who tested the salad. I made a small WhatsApp group, and I started posting every day about a new salad with some kind of innovation. For example, there was a paneer tikka salad, or an iron booster salad, or a protein power salad. Now, every day when I was posting this, people were buying salad. And that gave me a confidence that, this business model can run without any marketing. So it was January 2017 when I started with my subscription business. And initially we got 6 subscribers where I was preparing the meals myself and I was delivering them as well. From January 2017 until July 2017, the subscriber base increased to 50 subscribers. And then it was no longer feasible from my home kitchen. So we took our rental kitchen outside. We started delivering it from there. Over the period, there were many gaps that we identified. Logistics was a big problem. We didn't have hyperlocal logistics partners, so we solved that issue. Then the supply chain was broken. The supply chain was not very good. Like the kind of lettuce that we wanted, that was broken. That was not there. Then we had staff issues. I'm not from background. I'm not a hotelier either. I've learned this, but I know how to run the operations. So we fixed that. So over this entire course of the journey, there were many challenges that would come up. Every day morning you wake up and you have a new challenge waiting for you. But that's the beauty of the entrepreneurship, right? In July 2017, when we reached 50 subscribers, we realized, that's the time when we should register the company. After my pilot was done, then I registered my company in October 2017. Slowly from there, our subscriber base kept on increasing. Now, as the subscriber base was increasing, I realized, I need to have more authenticated people in my management team. So we hired a nutritionist who has a PhD in science and nutrition. We took subject matter experts, like a public health expert. They give more validity, more authenticity on the idea that I was working on. So they were subject matter experts. They were telling me what needs to be done. And as the team started growing up, got incubated at Banasthali. And then slowly as the subscriber base was increasing, we realized that most of our subscribers are from IT industry, which is infamous for their unhealthy lifestyle. People have sedentary lifestyle, they are not moving. And while our lifestyles have changed, our eating habits have not. So if you remember in science textbooks, we had a food pyramid where the bottom of the pyramid was mostly carbs. That food pyramid has evolved now because our lifestyles have changed. Right? So it's more of a modern food pyramid which we follow now. So now when we have outlets in the IT companies, we make sure that we give them more greens, fruits and vegetables, thereby helping them stay healthy. So that's my journey and all. So just to sum up, I started my first capex was 2,000 rupees when I started preparing the food from my home. And last year we reached about 1 CR all in revenue.
So very interesting and inspiring story. So that dissatisfaction was there somewhere in your when you were serving somebody else. Though your ideas were good, you're quite sincere. You were quite sincere, but that dividend was not there with you, right? So that was the point where you were uncomfortable. So as and when we get to June where we are not comfortable, that is the time to start thinking about something else, something new, which can lead to a bigger journey. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And then you are quite keen to have an eye what people want. And it just clicked someday. जिसमें आपने एक बार nutritious food in the form of salad you offered and it clicked, people liked it. And then you applied your whole engineering and your experience. Usually people say engineering की पढ़ाई की थी तो बैंक में क्यों गए? ये पढ़ाई की थी तो फिर खाना क्यों बना? So because there is a typical mindset. The purpose पर्पस ऑफ एजुकेशन, जैसा शुरुआत में अभिषेक जी ने कहा था, education is for life. It is not literally for one particular job. We are not creating job seekers. It is the purpose of education is to train mind, right? So इस तरह की बातें भी आपको के मन में आई होगी कि पढ़ाई इंजीनियरिंग की है और बैंकिंग का IT सेक्टर, then why should I get into food business, snacks business rather? It is not proper hotel sort of activity. You are providing wherever, whenever people are there, and they're especially in IT sector, their offices, they are getting low capital, low calorie, high nutritious value, fresh food. Uh, आपने जैसा कहा कि make it more authenticated, you edit more people in your team, you look for supply chain management. In what way your own engineering study is helping you to grow your business?
So basically, Puneet, if I have to put it in a way, like I did my electronics engineering, right, and then I did my post graduation in banking technology. Nothing from my course or nothing from my curriculum is helping me now, right? But what is helping me is the entire journey. How you have evolved as a person through your college life or through your corporate career. Like in my corporate career, I don't think I would have taken some mature decisions in my startup that I not have been brought into that corporate exposure. I learned the negotiation skills from my previous boss. I learned client handling. I learned servicing from my clients with whom I was working in banks. I learned the different ways of handling people, different ways of HR management, different ways of people management over this period. It was not something that I got overnight or I learned something in my education. It was the entire experience that made me into a person who I am today and the way I'm running the business. So, just to answer your question in very short, I think education plays a role. It definitely nurtures you, it definitely enhances you and tones your skills. But it's also the life lessons and the life experiences that makes you the person you are and the kind of entrepreneur you
Thank you, Preeti ji, and I'm sure this is going to create a big difference in both society and will add sector. Empowering people, adding more members in. Right. Now coming to Shanti. Uh, the business you are into, you help people first have a bigger dream to execute a bigger dream. So I would like to know your journey. You first started with in year 2000, and then might be different work, and then you joined company, and then you meet something. Would like to know your whole this process of evolving to second startup.
So my first company was in 2000, and there it was a product company based out of Bangalore. So we had a team of 60. Everything you have done. I loved my job at HP. Right? So I had not a single day thought that I made a mistake of leaving my company. Because always at the back of my mind, I always thought I could never fit into a large corporate. And I thought I'm like a startup founder, though I knew a lot of organization building. I did not have a formal corporate background, right? And HP was really fun. It was again managing very large teams, and then came back to India, and then Let's Venture was very incidental in the way it happened. It was 2012. Crowdfunding was becoming a very big phenomenon. MOOC was coming up as a technology. And when I came back to India, what I realized that I had this large network of people whom I could go and reach out, because I had started volunteering for the non-profit, and I decided I would help them fundraise for the non-profit. And at that point of time, I went to a lot of my friends across the corporates in India and the US, and try to this help this non-profit raise funding. And there, interestingly, what I realized is that I was saying the same thing over and over again to everybody, right? So there was no efficiency, there was no efficient, there was no transparent way to go raise fundraising, actually fundraise for these non-profits, right? And then I decided that I have to build a technology platform for non-profits to raise funding. So that was the first idea, right? Because really wanted to create efficiency, scale, and how I was operating there. And some of my friend came back and said, why don't you help startups fundraise? Because that is the low-hanging fruit. There are so many startups today, founders who are looking to fundraise. And very interestingly, I went and spoke to about 20 founders, went and spoke to about 20 investors, and everybody said, there is nothing like this today in India. But if you can execute what you're saying, I think it's a very valuable idea, right? And that was the beginning. So, and a lot of naysayers, right? Lot of people told me, "ये क्यों नहीं काम करेगा India?" Right? India is a low trust society. You think an Indian is going to put up a business plan online? You think an investor is going to commit 5 lakhs online when there was no phone pay, there was no Paytm that time, right? 2013 this was. There was no online big payment that time. So everybody said, everybody said, sessions of few startups who were pitching at networks. And those interactions made me more clear that I have to create LetsVenture, because that complete experience was broken. Right? When a founder would go pitch to an investor, he would go to a room full of like 10, 12 investors. And never during that conversation can the founder go around the table and say, what, before I pitch, I want all of you to tell me about yourself. I want all of you to tell me what are the investments you have made before I talk to you about my venture. Because one of the biggest fears an entrepreneur has is he does not want to talk about his business plan to an investor who probably has invested in a competing company. But where is the platform, or where is the mechanism for him to go ask that question? So when you come to Let's Venture, we have something called the stealth mode on the platform. So we have platform features. Using technology, we solved this problem. We solved the problem of transparency, of access, of discovery for both the founder and the investor. Now that is the founder story, right? If you look at the investor side of the story, you are an investor. Again, way back in 2013, if you wanted to start angel investing, how would you do that? You have to go talk to a friend who is part of a network, get an introduction, get a membership. Like there is no way. Today it is very, very different. 2020 is very, very different, because we have proved at Let's Venture that you can actually scale this. And we have done from 2014 onwards angel investing workshops in the country. We have taught people, we have spoken about angel investing, we have made it a lot more inclusive in how we have given out knowledge. There are still, parameters. Everybody cannot become an angel investor, right? Before you become an angel investor, you have to understand the basics of angel investing. You have to know it is a high risk asset class. SEBI has now, in the last 2 years, set up an accreditation criteria for investors. But when I started in 2013, there was nothing. There was no Startup India, right? Startup India came up in 2015. So it was not sexy to be an entrepreneur, right? We were doing it because I thought there was a real problem to be solved, right? Which was connecting startup founders to investors and creating a marketplace which would create ease of connection, ease of discovery, ease of transparency. So we do the entire thing: paperwork, due diligence, investor reporting, portfolio reporting. We do everything there, right? So, and Let's Venture has evolved, right? So today we have 40 people. I mean, we ourselves have raised about 3.2 million, and our investors include people like Ratan Tata, Nandan Nilam, Mohandas Pai, Axel sits on our board, Anupam Mittal. So you can talk about the best marquee investors in India. They are also investors in LetsVenture. Because I think every time I went and spoke to somebody, they thought that this idea was very, very powerful about creating an inclusive ecosystem. And like I told you, Puneet, earlier, I never did this because I was a woman, because no, I think those are questions which come second after you start the business. Even when Preeti started, I don't think she did it because she knew to cook better than the male counterpart. Right? I think it is because she saw there was a gap in the market, because there was a customer who was willing to pay for your service, and there was an opportunity to build a business around that gap, right? I would always tell, and it is very interesting. I have to tell you just this last part. I was actually at a keynote at Elevate in Karnataka, where they had a session for women founders. And they said, what is your message to women founders? Can you do a 15-minute keynote presentation? So I made a few slides. And interestingly, there was a male founder, who came up and said, I have all the similar challenges, what you told a woman founder faces. So being an entrepreneur has very, very similar challenges. Of course, we have additional challenges which come to us because there are other things which we want to do. Right? It is not like anybody is forcing us to do. It is just that people want to make it, like I said, you want to make it wholesome in how you build your entrepreneurial journey.
Thank you, Shanti, for sharing this wonderful journey. I mean, idea is the king, not the gender, right?
Yes.
So if your idea is strong enough,
Yeah, idea and execution, like Ramanan sir said, right? I think execution is the key. I think idea can still be, you can work on an idea, you can an idea, you may not get the complete idea right, but I think as you execute, you take your first step, second step, you learn so much in the process of building your venture that you start to see the path of how to build it out. And the customer is not going to buy from you because you're a founder, right? I That is key, right? No customer is going to come to my platform because I'm a founder. They will come to me, find that they are able to fundraise and connect to investors, and they. Similarly for Preeti, if the food is not delicious, if it's not healthy, they're not going to come to you. Right? So I think this world is very, very impartial. I think we just want to.
yeah, the solution is a key point to connect people, not anything else. So बाकी सब ज्ञान की बात यही है कि और शांति जी ने जो बहुत सारे आइडियाज और स्किल की दिक्कत होती है तो मनी ideas people like Shanti they help you out just have a networking with them and prepare your project report properly pitching की बारे में जैसा आपने बात कही कि I know usually an entrepreneur is having a fear my idea may get stolen. So वो बात भी अब मोटे तौर पर क्योंकि मामला पूरा एग्जीक्यूशन से जुड़ा हुआ है so ऐसी कोई घबराने की बात नहीं
अब तो वो वेंचर है ही नहीं. So if somebody can steal your idea and build a company on the idea, you should not even start that. Because then no more. Because finally you have to go to the market with the idea. Right? You have to go to a customer. Right? So वो idea का basis पे का business plan निकल गया हाथ से वो तो
वो होता नहीं राइट सो आइडिया जैसे आपके दिमाग में आया सबके दिमाग में आ सकता है देयर इज नो कॉपीराइट ऑन दैट
बिल्कुल आ सकता है
बिल्कुल so now coming this is interesting and now coming to Preeti सुनने में जितना आसान लगता है एक एंटरप्रेन्योर की जर्नी कि ये पहले कुछ भी नहीं करते थे और एक दिन अचानक से कुछ आइडिया आया and see the life has changed in 2-3 years or 5 years you know पहले छोटे से विलेज में कुछ काम किया करते थे now multi-millionaire and blah 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 like that सुनने में जितनी आसान लगती है उतनी आसान होती है so from your experiences what would know the difficulties or the challenges an entrepreneur face, real as well as imaginary.
श्योर सो मैं अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस से आपको ज़रूर बताता हूँ जो हमने देखा हमने से फेस किया है कि सबसे पहली चीज़ तो है कि you know building entrepreneurship is now a necessity in every nation. It's not just in India but in every nation we need to build entrepreneurship because that's how the economy is going to flourish, that's how the country is going to progress, and that's how we all are going to survive. Now the way an entrepreneur thinks or behaves, it totally depends upon how the environment around us is. So if you see society which is very conservative or which is not, which does not accept uncertainty, then people start their risk abilities also reduce. Now the societies with, for example, in US, right, where they are much more risk taking, are much more open to the whole idea of entrepreneurship. The learning at which the entrepreneurship is scaling is definitely very high. Today, if the family has to education, they won't mind taking a loan for your engineering degree or your medicine degree. But if the family has to fund your entrepreneurial venture, if the risk is involved, they won't do it, right? Or the parents won't do it. They won't invest in your entrepreneurial venture. So I think as a society, we need to change our mind. It's not just women entrepreneurs. I think the question is applicable even to men. When we start our venture first, the first question that comes into our mind is, what are my family and friends going to think if I fail? Or what are my family and friends going to think if I'm not able to successfully run this venture? Right? Now the whole answer to this question um, interferes with the decision making of an entrepreneur, right? So I would always encourage the family to support because family and friends would be the people that an entrepreneur would be needing the initial support from. Right? Now the second things comes from the society. For example, my own example, where I have my kids studying back there in the US. My husband is there in the US, and I'm taking my venture here. There have been questions like, what kind of a mom she is. She has left her small kids. The kids are getting educated there. But I was lucky enough to have that kind of a support from my in-laws and my husband that they can take care of my kids very well. My husband is much more than an average father, and I'm very confident that the way he has been taking care of the kids or the way he's raising, he's doing equally good job. So why should there be a guilt in it? I'm not feeling guilty about it, but at times the society makes me, or the society wants me to feel guilty about it, whereas I'm not. So the second thing is, as if you're a woman entrepreneur, you should be leaving the guilt behind. You're doing it for your own happiness. You're doing it for the progress of the nation. You have equal responsibility to make your nation succeed, right? So it's just running the house or taking care of the house duties or taking care of those chores. That's equally important. But I think your contribution to the progress of the nation is also important. And as being a citizen of India, I should the another challenge which I face warmly as a woman entrepreneur is the kind of the social discrimination, right? If you walk into a networking event full of 100 men and you can actually count the number of women in the group, entrepreneurship is not just about what you can do or how you do it. It's also about who you know in the circle, right? So when you go to a networking event, you are already very secluded because you are just a group of handful of women, or you are never taken too seriously into the conversation, right? So we have to prove ourselves twice to take to help people understand that they have to take us seriously. People doubt our leadership skills. People doubt the way we can run the company or the way we can face the difficulties. It's always been a stereotype that men are educated enough to face to take run the business, or men are educated to take over the difficulties or challenges. But it's not that it's individually people think like that, but it's deep rooted social thoughts that have been inculcated into our lives. So even though we are living in the 21st century and These might be individual opinion, but people still, but these challenges are still relevant to today's time. Um, and that's where I think the top three challenges would be. And of course, access to finance, like Shanti said, you know, uh, I've met a couple of women entrepreneurs from the self-help groups, and they want to take a loan from the bank, but the bank is not ready to take the loan because the society has never given property on a girl's name or on a female name. So these women don't have any collateral to put towards to the bank. So yeah, I mean, just to sum up those 3 points: access to finance, social discrimination, and the way how we know people in the industry.
But ultimately, success supersedes everything. The way you have executed, I think, is self-proven now. I mean, no correction is required. There is no amendment is required. And people, those who were having any kind of doubts on your idea, capabilities, now I'm sure they are confident enough about you. And rather, if you approach now, the opinion would have been changed, and they will be happy to with you.
That's exactly, yeah. So that has happened because people who used to say earlier, like, how is she managing it? How can she leave the family behind? And how can she leave an opportunity to live in the US, have a quality life, and still here in India and struggling here? I think you have to answer those people by your hard work, the way your progress is happening day by day, and the way your company is growing day by day. That answers many questions raised by such people.
सो दोस्तों, बख्शी साहब, आनंद बख्शी साहब ने बहुत बढ़िया गाना लिखा था, और उस गाने की स्पिरिट पर हम शायद अगर वापस से नए तरीके से उसे सुने, कुछ लोग कहेंगे, so try to be true to yourself. You are answerable to yourself, and that is more important than thinking about people. लोग क्या मेरे बारे में क्या सोचते हैं, क्या सोचते हैं, वो बिल्कुल नहीं है। वो एक इमेजिनरी नोशन है, उससे बाहर जल्दी ही आ जाना चाहिए. Focus on your own life, your ideas. What is going on here more important than what is going on there. So, coming to Shanti, uh, मुद्रा की आवश्यकता सभी को होती है. तो किसी भी आइडिया के एग्जीक्यूशन के लिए नेटवर्किंग, टीम बिल्डिंग, प्रोसेस, प्रोडक्ट, सबके लिए पैसे की जरूरत पड़ती है. फंड रेजिंग इज द बिगेस्ट इशू for any startup. So, would like to know an elaborative reply of this. In what way fundraising can be executed, done through banking, through crowdfunding, or through angel investors? Over to you, Shan.
So my first point here is, as I'm talking about funding, is don't make funding the reason of being an entrepreneur. I think it's very important. The reason why you are an entrepreneur is because you are creating a product which will fulfill a gap in the market, and you have to build a business. Right? So just kind of putting that disclaimer, because I don't encourage people to raise funding till they are sure that they want to raise funding. Right? So that is first. But having said that, I think there are a lot of different ways you can go raise funding for your venture. One is, of course, like you said, you can take a bank loan, right? Like what you rightly said. Puneet. I think second is that crowdfunding is actually not a form of equity funding. Right? Crowdfunding is, so suppose if you're making a product, right, which is a consumer product. So, for example, you are making a watch. So I'm just giving an example, right? And you want to now raise funding for that watch. What you typically do is you put it up on a crowdfunding site, and you say that you can place an order for the watch, and this is the features of the watch. So what basically crowdfunding does is it gives you money ahead of the product, right? So ahead of the product, so people pay money, pay an order, place an order for the watch. You use that money to go build the watch. So that is very different from what we do. Right? Let's Venture is an equity curated marketplace. It is not a crowdfunding program, right? Where we help startups raise equity, which basically means a founder can come and create a profile on the platform. There is a curation team being curated, because at any point of time, the funding what you can raise also depends on how many more people are working on a similar idea to yours, right? And what is your probability of being best in the market ahead of all these people who have built that product? Right? So funding is not just about going and raising money; it is relative, right? And that is something which founders sometimes don't understand or they miss, right? So we are a platform which actually curates the startup profiles which comes to the platform. Based on their readiness to fundraise, we then connect them to investors on the platform, right? So as a startup founder, you can come and create a profile. My team will do the curation. If you're not ready for fundraise, you quickly get an email saying that this may not be the right time to fundraise, and these are the things you need to work on. If you're ready to fundraise, we then connect you to investors. And as investors start to show a lot more interest, we then help you kind of close the fund. We also help you do paperwork. So we do the entire process, close the entire process of fundraise for the founders in the family.
Interesting question. One of a student of mine, he asked, why it is labeled as angel investor? So the term angel is somebody has given you money and he has forgotten.
No, no, no. So angel investing, the reason why it's called angel investing is you come, I think you write your own personal check to someone to fulfill his dreams. Of course, there is a business engagement there. You do well, I get money. But it is my personal check which I'm writing to a company. I'm not writing it to an institution or to a corporate, right? It's my own money, it's my own hard-earned tax-paid money which I'm actually using to go invest into startups. And that is the profile of a good investor. Right? So he is an ultra HNI. Of course, he's made enough money to keep aside 10% of his worth for his mind scarcity, right? But typically, you kind of come in at the very early stages of the company and then you work with the company to get them to do business.
Right. Thank you. I'm sure after this program, many people will approach you for funding solutions. So welcome, Dr. Ramanan. So before you left the program, there was a question: how to establish a self-help women group for popularizing local product of a region in a remote part of India? This is a question from in Kashmir. Mamta has asked this question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Puneet, for that question. It's a very important question. Um, Other Innovation Mission has multiple channels today for being able to enable this. First and foremost, we have our incubators. There are many incubators across the country now. 70 of them are operational, and they are in different states. Almost 26 or 27 states have the incubators in which these 70 incubators have been spread. Anybody who has a solution can approach one of these incubators. They can have them evaluated. Each of the incubators would have about 20 or 25 startups. They can see how they can synergize with them, or they could become a startup themselves within that incubator if they are not associated with that incubator. The second mechanism that we have enabled is what we have done is we are setting up Atal Community Innovation Centers across the country. We have selected 24 Atal Community Innovation Centers at this point in time. But the idea is that these community innovation centers will be set up in tier 2, tier 3 cities or in rural India or in unserved, underserved regions of the country. Because most of the startups really flourish in the metro cities. There is no problem for them, either in terms of access to technology, funding, universities, students, and so on. But many of the universities in the remote parts of the country, they have not been able to set up their own community innovation centers, so the government is helping. So we are giving 2.5 crores of grant to an applicant. They will also have to put in another 2.5 crores of their own grant, either through CSR funding from corporates, or if they have funding themselves, then they can put that. And the whole idea of this community innovation center is it is a not-for-profit organization where innovations which have been created by somebody can find expression for that local community. Alternatively, in India we have Jugaad innovation which is happening across the country. And Jugaad innovation is actually very intelligent workarounds for a local community problem, the farmer, the person who is dealing with housing in a hilly district. No, these are all very local problems, and they have jugaad innovation. But now, because of technology, how do you convert the jugaad innovation into a reliable, technology-driven, scalable innovation? That is what the community innovation centers will give an opportunity for such innovators to come. We will provide them the environment, the infrastructure to convert that jugaad innovation into a systemic innovation and into a reliable innovation. The third opportunity is we launch what are known as challenges, Atmanirbhar India challenges. Now, the idea of the challenge is that if you have a solution for that challenge, and many of these challenges are targeted towards MSME industry, towards the remote parts of the country, because that's where the problem is expressing itself most. So if you have a solution, you can apply for that. You will get up to 1 crore of grant from the Indian government to convert that prototype of a solution into an actual product. And secondly, we will work with the local state or with the government to ensure procurement of your innovation. So you can register yourself on GEM, which is the government e-marketplace, and when you register, you will automatically have an opportunity to be the government to be a customer of your product. But then states and local governments and districts can also leverage. So, and also, what we encourage is if anybody has an innovation, please, and if you are not able to find the right channel for expressing that innovation, please write to us and we will put you in touch with the appropriate people so that your innovation doesn't go waste and there is a cushion of that.
Thank you, Dr. Ramanan. Now, coming to Ji, there is a question from Aditi Dadich. How important it is for consistent hand-holding for a sustainable business growth, especially for the first generation entrepreneurs.
So maybe Shanti, you would like to answer or Preeti because Preeti is an entrepreneur there. Is this targeted towards me or it is?
I mean, this is for Shanti.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think even I'm a founder, by the way. I mean, though I built a platform to connect founders to investors, I'm still a founder, and I have seen it used to play a very big role in the beginning of the venture. I was very fortunate to have some of the best people in my organization. They still continue to kind of be available to me whenever there's a challenge and what to do and what to answer. But I think if you're a first time entrepreneur, that is why we have right? I think if you're a first time entrepreneur, you don't know the process because at the end of the day, building a venture is also somewhere a little bit of science, right? You have to do few things for you to be able to know whether what you're building is valuable, for you to be able to know to validate from the right? As well as ensure that you have perspectives on your business so that you don't make mistakes which could have been avoided just because you did not get the right set of mentors, right? So I would strongly recommend if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you don't have a good network of people around you, right? Because a lot of these entrepreneurs we are seeing today are coming out of these larger startups, right? So they already have a strong network of people who are helping them building their company. But if you are a first time entrepreneur, you don't have access to that network, I would strongly encourage you to look at apply to one of the incubators. I mean, Ramanan sir's organization has funded a lot of incubators. I think today the ecosystem is much more stronger, frameworks are much more stronger. But please don't undermine the value of what a good advisor should bring or venture in the initial first stage, first few years, right? And as as the business changes, the kind of mentor should also change, right? So the person who helps you go from zero to one will not be the person who can help you go from one to n, right? So you have to also look at who are the people who are working with as your business to scale.
Yeah, I think Shanti has really brought out one very important aspect, and that is how mentorship plays a very important role in the growth of a startup and the evolution of the startup. All of us have benefited from mentors at various stages of our life, and similarly, in a startup life cycle, you need different types of mentors at different stages. In the initial stages, you may need more of technical mentoring because your product is evolving and so on. And then when the product has reached a certain stage, you need people with business planning and strategy. You need probably financial experts as a mentor, so that you are able to see how to address the market and how to capture the market. You need some marketing expert to help you. So, it is very important for the startup. Often what happens is the CEO or a founder feels that they know everything. And not wrongly, because they have created the product, they have come up with the innovation. But it is useful for us to always keep in mind that a great team of people who are having better knowledge than you is very important, so that we are addressing the gaps in your knowledge. And secondly, and a group of advisors and mentors will be even more useful because they bring independent, unbiased knowledge. Sometimes our thinking gets clouded. We don't think in a particular direction because it is convenient for us. The mentor is going to be that guardian angel who is going to say, hey, you need to be thinking along this direction, and what you're doing is not right, or this may have these following repercussions. So that is very important. And actually, to address this problem, in Atal Innovation Mission for all the incubators now, we have mandated that they should have a set of mentors, and we are actually also created a pool of mentors, more than 100 mentors who are specialists. They are very accomplished people in the field of various domains or verticals or technologies and so on. They are made available to all the Atal incubator startups so that they can access them, get help from them, and so on. And similarly, on the tinkering lab, we have 5,000 mentors who have got allocated tinkering lab because the teachers don't have that ability to learn the latest of technologies immediately, and they would also need mentoring. So, point of mentorship in a and we are talking about women entrepreneurs here. I just want to also add that the NITI Aayog has created a women entrepreneurship platform, WEP platform, where all women entrepreneurs or want to be women entrepreneurs, they can register themselves and they have access to a pool of resources of mentors, capable people like Shanti, Mohan, who have successfully led startups and become large organizations, so that you have funding support, you have financial support, you have mentoring support, and you also have sharing of best practices and knowledge. And then you will have peer network where people are having the same problems that you are having, and then you are able to relate and say, hey, how did you solve this problem, or whom did you approach? And that becomes a very powerful network to support you and to enable you to succeed. So please register yourself, all the women entrepreneurs who are on this platform, to be able to get the benefit of all.
So, yeah, you're keeping AIM alive, afresh. Every 6 months, you're coming with some new ideas. I mean, as and when we see there is a problem or gap in society. So, even AIM itself is a entrepreneurship company. So,
Yeah, it is very entrepreneurial. It's very young. We have today about 20, 25 people in our team, but I'm the oldest guy here. So people don't listen to me, and that is good for the organization.
but youngest with the ideas and your energy, especially, that is tremendous. The way you trust on any idea and the way.
Now, what's the name of the platform? Somebody is asking the question for women entrepreneurs.
It's called WEP, your Women Entrepreneurship Platform. WEP. If you log in NITI Aayog website, you will get directed to that platform. www.nitiaayog.in.
Right. So now coming to Preeti ji, people usually say, or rather it is being exercised. Father ने जो business किया है वो बेटा उसको आगे carry forward करना है. Right. You get that brand from your forefathers. So usually people say business cannot be acquired, learned through training. So since you have been trained through one of the centers by AIM, so your experience on this saying that entrepreneurship aptitudes can be acquired through training or not? You are on mute, sir.
Sorry about that. It's a very, very subjective question for EG. It's totally my personal opinion. You know, entrepreneurship is something which I feel you can nurture it. You can evolve your skills. You can hone your skills. You can learn a lot about it. But that the drive to succeed and being passionate about what you're doing and the drive to do it no matter what, that is something you can't enforce that into an entrepreneur, right? But however, you can always nurture the outside and peripherals of it. For example, I see a lot of street hawkers, or I see women working in rural areas who have not, gone to any school, born entrepreneurs, right? Necessity makes them entrepreneurs. The life lessons makes them entrepreneur. Um, so I personally think that in an academic institution you can, like Ramanan sir was saying, that you can always mentor it, you can always prove, but the drive, the the passion has to be something, the fire and the spark, something within, and it's inside one.
Okay. Thank you. Again, I was going through the question. So I think Shanti ji is having some assignment. So one quick question, last question with Shanti ji.
Yes.
This COVID-19 compulsive breakdown, or this has shattered the whole world.
Yes.
But obviously, it has created lot many opportunities. So, I'd like to know the upcoming areas of for entrepreneurship and startups, which are might be technology driven or not much dependent on technology. So, what is your uh, you know uh, uh, opinion about the opportunities which are going to be created after this COVID-19 pandemic?
So there are three sectors which have seen a lot of interest: tech, right? Health tech, and collaboration. Very, very natural. Right? So these are all new sectors which have seen a lot of interest. But I think what I would like to kind of mention here is, I think the kind of entrepreneur, the profile of the entrepreneur has changed, right? Because today, like you said, it's much more difficult to build a business because of all the constraints we have, all the lockdown we have today, right? And because of that, I think the profile of the founder is changing, and there is something called a new term which has come, which is called flight to quality. That basically means much higher quality founders are getting funded. Otherwise, because today money is capital is difficult, because a lot of people have money in public markets, right? We have a lot of investors who are running their own companies and they're focusing on the businesses, so they're not investing. And the segment of people who are investing today want to see a lot more companies before they commit their capital. Right? So the flight to quality is higher, as I said. And of course, this is actually the best to build a company. Because if you look at it globally, the best companies have actually been during a recession. Right? Because it gives you the time to go work on your idea. It actually gives you time to go experiment a lot more. And when the market opens up, you are now ready to run. Just like Preeti was to us before this conference, before the webinar, saying that it is ready for the retail stores to open up the moment lockdown is lifted. Right? So I think if you're an entrepreneur, I think it's a great idea to go, great time to work on an idea, build on the idea, go talk to customers. A lot more people are today available to take calls because they're all working from home. So very, very good time to actually talk to a lot more people, because people are willing to give time, because the normal life has got disrupted, so people are at home, they are willing to give time to talk to founders. A lot of investors have been saying that we are willing to now give free mentoring to a lot of founders who are looking for mentoring. I think so. Overall, I think it is on how, as an entrepreneur, you look at the adversity as an opportunity, right? And that is typically the trait you bring as a founder. Like for LetsVenture, 2020 has been a best year. Last year we did 55 deals in the platform. Here in the first 6 months we've done 44 deals. I posted about this on Friday, and I would have thought like everybody has reached out and said, how 2020 is actually the best year and how they love that statement of mine. Right? I think it is just about how can we use this adversity to an opportunity, and how can we look at building your business getting much stronger.
Thank you, Shanti ji, for the essential advice. And I think there is a hope in every crisis. So that is all about the mindset you are looking for problem or
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for having me, and thank you.
thank you very much. And
Thank you.
I
Thank you.
understand.
And I will stay in touch.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
And we are continuing the session. Now coming to Dr. Ramanan, there is a lot to be expected from you. You know, you are an encyclopedia. This is a fourth session during last 1 month, and every time I'm finding some new responses. That there is no repetition. So let's see uh, how far we can continue this discussion. So this is well established, then it is essential to, it is better to think about entrepreneurship than thinking first about job. I mean, not an activity which is to be exercised. Job nahi mili, chalo kuch kaam dhanda kar lete hain. Let me start something like that. This is something which is to be exercised first and attempt, reattempt, and then finally you get success. So first thing, when to start, and then step by step, how to start a journey of entrepreneurship. Dr. Ramanan.
Yeah. Thanks, Puneet. If you take 10 years ago or 15 years ago, it would have been very difficult for us, for anyone, to even think of venturing into entrepreneurship. Uh, when I'm talking about venturing into entrepreneurship, see, typically people in India has always been a land of entrepreneurs. Historically speaking, we have all trade and all originated in India. So we've had a very enterprising set of people who have been traders and who have established organizations, who have established institutions for specific purposes and so on. But somewhere after independence, due to the focus on education and learning and so on, we transformed ourselves more, especially the educated people. They transformed themselves more as job seekers rather than job creators. And simply so because they had a lot of problems at home. They wanted to sort of address the problems. They wanted to bring a certain quality of life into their own lives, into the lives of the family. But today, we are in a completely different situation, I would say, and all the youngsters particularly are in a different situation. We are in a situation where we are an economically advancing country, one of the fastest growing economies of the world. So we are also having demographic dividend, like I talked about, the advantage of youthful energy. And thirdly, we are living in a world where technology has reached India and it's been created in India. And it has become affordable, accessible, and available, right? And it's advanced. Now, when you take the mixture of these three, it is a wonderful situation to be in. It is, I would say, the best situation to be in, where a young student whose mind is full of ideas, who is imaginative, who wants to make an impact. Every young student dreams of making an impact in an area of his or her interest. And the other thing which has happened in this world today is there is no area that cannot be a success area for you. And previously, it was you have to become an engineer, you have to become a doctor. That's it. If you don't become either or, then you become a government servant. These are the three things that everyone seems to have an option. Today, it is not like that. You take any branch, whether it is civil engineering, chemical, textiles, you take biotechnology, you take healthcare, you take education. Everything is open for new opportunities to be had. So India, they say, is a country of a billion people with a million challenges. And a million challenges are a million opportunities for our young people to seize. If they don't seize the opportunity, somebody else is going to seize the opportunity from outside. That is why you have a lot of countries flocking to India. Why are they flocking? Because you have this demand, the pillar of demand, such a big demand. And if you don't try to fulfill that demand, somebody else is going to fill that gap. So I would urge every young student out there who are, when I talk of young, I'm not talking just students in school or university. I'm talking of the young youthful people who are there in the companies also. This is the time where you can think about becoming an entrepreneur if you have an idea and a passion. So it starts off with the passion for I want to make an impact. Then it starts, then the next step is looking for a solution. What is the solution that you can look at? For a problem that you are seeing. So be very alert to problems in and around your community and say, hey, here is a problem, I can solve it. So then you create a solution which is uniquely addressing it because this problem has not been solved. And it could be an existing problem which has not been solved, or it could be a gap in a solution that already exists, or it is a completely new problem that has never been solved and you are trying to solve it. So there are three possibilities there, right? But still, take a problem, create a solution. The second important thing is in today's world, if you want to be very successful startup, bring technology element there because technology is going to make the difference. You have AI technology, you have data sciences, and all of that. Third is you have to have an action plan for your startup. If you don't have an action plan, you'll have a dream, you'll have this big imagination, I'm going to be very successful, but you are not backing it up with an action plan. 90% of any startup success is execution and implementation. 10% is the idea and the innovation, but 90% is the implementation of that idea. And therefore, you need to have an action plan which will make you very responsive, very agile. You have ability, should be combined with agility and action plan. Okay? The fourth thing is you need to build a great team with you if you want to be a successful entrepreneur. So that team has to be complementary to your own capability, not just what you have. You are good at something. Get somebody who in which you are not so good at, so that together the team achieves much more. They say there is a saying when dreams work when teams work, right? So your dream will become a reality only when you create the right team, and that team, aligns itself with your passion, your ambition, your aspiration. They'll be very loyal. They are not going to be bothered with the COVID-19 crisis to say, oh, I'm going to leave this startup and go. In fact, that is going to strengthen them and bring them together because they are sharing a common dream. And that dream has to be shared by everybody and should be owned by everybody. And then you also need to work, get customer feedback regularly for your startup idea. Don't be a solution provider in search of a problem. See a problem, either an existing problem, an anticipated problem, and then create a solution for it. Otherwise, you will end up with trying to find out who is going to use my solution. So to do that, you have to run your solution past several hundred potential customers, make them use the product, get them to see it, and then you have to re-engineer the product again and again, and you have to be able to recreate it. iPhone did not get created just like that. It got created over a period of time, and with multiple technologies coming in. So re-engineering, recreating to make your product robust or your service robust. It may not be a product innovation; it could be a service innovation, or it could be a process innovation. But you have to re-engineer it constantly and continuously improve. And finally, you need to have a lot of uniqueness in your approach. See, startup success is based on the uniqueness with which they are bringing to the market the product, how they are reaching across the customers, how they are providing support, how they are organizing themselves internally, how their internal systems are organized, how do they manage their finance. Everything, there has to be a uniqueness that the startup founder, the CEO, and the team have to constantly bring so that they are able to differentiate from the competition. You see, there are many Facebook type of products. Facebook was not the only one who came. There was MySpace and all that stuff and so on. But finally, Facebook succeeded. Why? Because they constantly reiterated, improved, changed, brought new functionality, feature functionality, fixed existing functionality, helped to scale and all of that. And the final thing for a startup success or an innovator's journey success is persistence. Persistence comes when you have passion for your dream. Don't give up. It's COVID-19, yeah, you're running into a problem. Stick to it, you will succeed. And you will find people who will support you. You have to look out for that. You can't expect the world to come to you. You have to go out, you have to make the right outreaches so that you are able to connect with them and get the necessary support. And with persistence and passion, you will be successful. And as you know, Abdul Kalam said, dream big and you'll achieve great things. Dream small and you'll be limited by your own dreams. And as Vivekananda ji said, have great belief in yourself. If you have belief in thousand gods and goddesses and do not have belief in yourself, you are doomed. This is something which we have to just absorb. Yes, I mean we think about so many things, but we don't have belief in ourselves, and then we give up at the first, sense of failure. And again, I would like to bring Abdul Kalam's quote on fail. He said, "Fail is first attempt in learning." So there is only success in the world of an entrepreneur, or there is a first attempt in learning. There is no failure. In success, there is learning. In the word fail, there is learning. And through this learning, you continuously improve and you succeed. So an innovator's journey is all about this. And if they just follow their art and make sure that these elements are there in their solution, the technology, the team, the agility, the re-engineering, the uniqueness, and the passion, they will succeed.
Thank you, Dr. Ramanan. There is a common saying about entrepreneurship. If you don't have big dreams and goals, you'll end up working for someone that does.
Yes, correct.
And now, coming to Preeti ji.
Also, I want to share one thing for the young students. Immediately why these incubators are being set up, so that as soon as you graduate from college, if you have a great idea, go after setting up a startup or an entrepreneur or become an entrepreneur. Uh, Supposing at the end of 2 years or 3 years, feel okay, I need to go back and earn some money and all that. Even when you go at that time and get a job, you will get a better job at the end of 2 years than you would if you just immediately go after college. Because in the 2 years, you have become a fully rounded person. You have gained so much experience which will be valued by the industry, and you will straight away go as an innovator into the industry.
Yeah, because you work on all aspects of a company, analysis, marketing, product designing, service, logistics, and everything. So that
Correct.
journey is enriching, and that helps you to do better, even if you plan to do a job in a case if it doesn't click. So there is
Absolutely.
a question. Thank you. There is a question from Komal Joshi. This for you, Preeti ji. Startup must know when to exit. Please throw some light on this. How important it is not to stick with one idea and move ahead. Preeti ji, you're in mute.
Sorry about that. It's a very good question for me. I have seen with the number of startups that I interact with, I have seen people get emotionally attached to an idea and emotionally attached to a startup. It's like their own baby, right? Which they don't want to leave. But I would say you need to try it, at least see a phase-wise growth of your startup, right? If you're growing phase-wise, even at 2%, 1%, you know that soon you're going to make it. The time is going to come and you're going to make it. But if you're not seeing any growth over 2, 3 years and you've invested a lot of time and effort into it, I would say park the idea for later, because the learning experiences that you have gained when working on that idea itself is something um, valuable to you. So you can park that idea for a certain time. Maybe this is not the time for that idea to flourish or evolve. And you can parallelly start for another idea. But to get emotionally attached to one idea, never leave it in spite of that idea not working. I would say that would be a little um, uh, would not be a wise decision. But if you're seeing a growth even from 10 to 20 to 30 customers month over month and pursuing it, and if you have time and energy and patience to pursue it, then I would say just keep on pursuing it. When to exit? I think coming with my own personal experience, I had a startup on music before this where we were creating complex songs. We were about we were generating good amount of revenue, but I know that it would take a lot of time for this kind of idea to mature up in a country like India where personalized songs or music, music is taken as a free commodity. It's available free everywhere. So I invested years into it, and then I realized it would make sense to invest much more time into it, and moved on to another idea.
Right. Thank you. Now, coming to Dr. Ramanan, how women entrepreneurship is a step towards Atmanirbhar Bharat.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the beginning, uh, Atmanirbhar Bharat is all about self-reliant India. And if you want to make a self-reliant India, you have to be able to engage women in this entire journey of the nation. Women have to become an integral part of the growth and development of our society. Um, not that they are not. There are four fundamental things that are required in order to ensure that women entrepreneurship blossoms a lot more than what it has. We have only 13% women entrepreneurs, and I want to compliment Preeti ji for being one amongst them. But we need many, many more Preeti jis in this country. And there are four things that is preventing it. One is education. The awareness, one has to build an awareness of the possibilities for the girl child, for the women in our country. Uh, and more importantly, it is not for the children themselves to be educated, but the society to be educated. Because what are the possibilities for women and how you can enable their potential? What we found very interestingly in adult thinking labs is 33% of the top 100 winners of the innovation prizes in adult thinking labs were girl children. And that is an amazing number because we don't have 50% enrollment of students, girl students in schools still. India is still to be able to achieve that. More than, you know, generally only 35-40% of the girls uh, go to school, enroll in schools, and they continue right up to the 12th standard and so on. So there is a lot of dropouts in between, especially in rural areas and so on. Now, taking this into consideration, when 33% are girl child are winners in the innovation, that shows the potential of the girl child in the Indian environment and in the Indian ecosystem. Secondly, in our incubators and the startups, like I said, we have more than 500 women-led startups who are succeeding. So we have to ensure that all these startups, all the women entrepreneurs who are desiring to make an impact and to create, livelihoods, they should be encouraged. So education is important for society. The second is empathy. Empathy is where you put yourself. Many women after they get married, they're highly educated, but then there's societal pressures or whatever. You stay at home and you don't empathize with the woman who has educated herself so well and is capable of contributing so much for the household as well as for the society. So this digital transformation that has got introduced because of COVID-19 should be turned around now and used for women to create entrepreneurship opportunities by work from home. And that is very much possible. Digital technology is enabling all of it. So empathizing, the third is empowerment. We need to ensure that we empower the women across the country through education, through facilities and special funding initiatives for women entrepreneurs, especially in the rural areas, microfinancing, and so on. Many ways the government is helping, but we also need corporates to pitch in. Every corporate, for example, I worked in the Tata Group for 30 years, and there is a very special focus on women employment in the Tata Group. And Tata Consultancy Services, TCS, one of the largest organizations, IT services organization in the world, they have more than 33 or 40% of their staff is women, and that is contributing to the economy. So just see the power of contribution to the economy. If 49% of our population is women, and even if you engage all of them, that's going to be a tremendous impact on our economy. And finally, it's about entrepreneurial mindsets. Now, how do you cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset in women? Because the opportunities for women to become entrepreneurs are even more than for men. They would be able to take for example, because of digital technology. Today, you are having singing classes being conducted over Skype. People who are very good in singing or Bharatanatyam or in dance or in any other programs, they are able to conduct tutorials right from their homes, and students from all over the world are joining, and that's becoming a source of livelihood for them. At the same time, it is spreading the knowledge that they have and the expertise that they have. So education, empathy, enterprise, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. These four things, if we are able to focus, we will be able to ensure that women become an integral part of the development of our society and of our country.
To Dr. Ramanan, I'm sure this today's conversation is enlightening, enriching our thought processes, and entrepreneurship is a state of mind, and this is the need of hour as well. So rather than going for a job, it is better to explore within self and find out what is attracting, what is appealing to you, and the gaps which are there in the society as a problem and solution. Just try to meet out, explore your teachings, do networking, do collaborations, and I'm sure something good will come out for yourself, for society, for nation as well. So thank you, Dr. Ramanan. Thank you, Preeti ji and Shanti ji. Thank you very much. And now I request Dr. Latika for to propose vote of thanks.
On behalf of Banasthali Vidyapith, I would like to thank Dr. Ramanan, Miss Preeti, Miss Shanti ji, Dr. Puneet. This is really a lifetime contribution, and I would like to my big the participants for making the event successful. Before going to for the dinner and the home, I would like to give a token of family. So, Dr. Ramanan, thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Miss Shanti, you have to leave due to some other commitments. Thank you, ma'am. Miss Preeti, our alumni partner. Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Puneet. You have been, great support behind the success of the event. And thank you so much again. Have a nice time. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you all. Thank you.